Hello everyone. In this video, we will learn about gravitation force. Out of the four fundamental forces of nature, gravitation is one. Therefore, it is of due importance. Alright, moving on to the definition of gravity. It is an attractive force and it acts between two objects because of their masses, and this force is called the force of gravitation or the gravitational force. As simple as that. But let us understand what actually is gravitation. That was the definition part. If we have an object A and an object B, we will now consider that each of these objects has at least some mass. If an object is massless, then we cannot describe gravitational force on that object. Therefore, we consider that these objects have certain mass. A has mass m1 and B has mass m2. And then now this object A will exert an attractive force on object B, while this object B will also attract the object A with some force. And this force is therefore the gravitational force. Now, whenever talking about gravitation, we might limit our concepts towards Earth only. However, that's not true. This force of gravitation is applicable to all the bodies, be it terrestrial or celestial. By terrestrial, I mean the bodies that are found in the earth, and by celestial, I mean the bodies that are in the universe. Now, this gravitation is applicable for all those bodies as long as they have some masses. They should not be massless. Now, let's move on to the law of gravitation. The universal law of gravitation was given by Newton, and he stated that any two objects in the universe, like we mentioned before, always attract each other with a force, and this force is directly proportional to the product of their masses and inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the centers. Now, what does this actually mean? So we already have these objects here. Let me just quickly erase the unnecessary things from here. Now we have an object A and object B with masses m1 and m2. Let this be the center of body A and let this be the center of body B. Then the distance D is measured from these two centers, and it is the straight perpendicular distance between these two bodies. However, D is not the distance between the surface of these two bodies. It is always the distance between the centers of these two bodies. And now we will call this distance as D. We already have the mass of body A m1 and the mass of body B m2. Then according to Newton's law of gravitation, it's called the universal law, and the reason was already stated. It is applicable for celestial as well as terrestrial bodies. Now the Newton's law says force. We are representing the gravitational force as F. It is directly proportional to product of the masses, and it's inversely proportional to the square of the distance between the centers of the two bodies. Here the R has been taken as D. In the figure previously, the R has been taken as D. We obtain a combined relation. F is directly proportional to the product of the masses divided by the square of the distance between the centers. Now, to convert this relation into an equation, we will introduce a proportionality constant, and this proportionality constant has been found to have a value of 6.67 times 10 to the power minus 11 Newton meter squared per kg squared. And this was found by Sir Henry Cavendish. And this is now denoted by G. Thus, the expression for gravitational force between two bodies will now be F is equals to Z m1 times m2 divided by r squared. This is much for the video. You can access the free study materials linked in the description below.